All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are cracking open an ancient text to unpack one of the most intense family dramas you'll ever come across. I'm talking famine, fear, and a choice that no parent should ever have to make. Seriously, this isn't some dusty old story. It's a high-stakes thriller, and it's all true. Just put yourself in this situation for a second. Your family is starving, the cupboards are bare. Your only hope is in another country controlled by this powerful, kind of scary foreign leader. But he's got a price, and it's an impossible one. He demands you bring him your youngest child, the one you've sworn to protect above all others. What do you do? Because that is the exact corner a man named Jacob has been backed into. So yeah, the situation is grim. The famine, which had eased up for a bit, is back with a vengeance. All the grain they managed to buy from Egypt is gone. Jacob and his huge family are, once again, staring starvation right in the face. But, just going back to Egypt for a refill isn't an option. There's a catch. And this is the catch. This is the ultimatum from that powerful Egyptian governor they met on their first trip. He basically told them, don't even bother showing your faces here again unless you bring your youngest brother, Benjamin, with you. It's not a suggestion, it's a hard and fast rule. No Benjamin, no food. Well, Jacob's response is immediate, and it's an absolute no way. You have to understand, this is a man who is just haunted by grief. Years ago, he lost his favorite son, Joseph, or so he thinks, and that wound is never healed. Benjamin is Joseph's only full brother, the last living piece of his favorite wife, Rachel. The thought of risking another son from her, it's just unthinkable. But his refusal is a death sentence for the family. So the family is completely stuck. They're caught between their father's crippling fear and the absolute certainty of starvation. This is when another brother, Judah, decides enough is enough. He steps up, knowing that if someone doesn't do something drastic, they are all going to die. And the promise Judah makes is just staggering. He looks his father in the eye and essentially says, I'll be his surety. I'll put my own life, my own soul on the line for him. If I don't bring him back to you safely, then you can blame me for it for the rest of eternity. This is so much more than, I'll be careful. It's an incredible vow, and it's the only thing that finally breaks Jacob's resolve. So Jacob finally, reluctantly, gives in. But he's not just going to send them off empty-handed. He comes up with a desperate plan. First, he tells them to pack a gift, the very best things their famine-ravaged land can produce: honey, spices, nuts. Second, take double the money, just to prove they're not thieves. And third, the part that's killing him: take your brother. It's a Hail Mary pass to try and win the favor of this powerful Egyptian. And this is the sound of a man completely broken. It's a statement of total, heartbreaking resignation. He's fought it, he's delayed it, and now he's out of moves. He's basically saying, if I'm going to lose my children, then I'm going to lose them. What more can I do? He sends them on their way, wrapped in his own despair. So the brothers head back down to Egypt, with Benjamin right there with them. You can just imagine the tension on that trip. They're walking into the lion's den, fully expecting to be accused of theft, thrown in prison, or worse. And then, the first big twist. The governor, who we know is their brother Joseph, but they have no clue, lays eyes on Benjamin. And his reaction is the last thing they expected. He doesn't fly into a rage. He doesn't call the guards. He just turns to his head servant and says, "Bring these men into my house. They're having lunch with me today."
Now, you'd think an invitation to lunch would be a good thing, right? Nope. It sends them into a full-blown panic. They're thinking, this is it. This is the trap. They're convinced it's all about that money that mysteriously showed up back in their sacks of grain on the first trick. They believe they are being led to their doom, about to become slaves.
But again, everything is backwards. The governor's steward doesn't show up with shackles, he meets them with words of peace. He tells them not to worry, and then, to top it all off, he brings out Simeon, the brother who'd been kept behind as a hostage, and he's totally fine. The brothers must have been just completely bewildered. None of this is making any sense.
So they find themselves inside the home of this powerful Egyptian official. They wash up, get their gift ready, and just wait for the man himself to show up at noon. The stage is set for what has to be one of the most bizarre and emotionally loaded meals in all of history.
And here is the moment this has all been building toward. Joseph, the governor, looks up and sees Benjamin, his only full brother, for the first time in more than 20 years. Underneath all that Egyptian power and authority is just a man looking at the little brother he never thought he'd see again. You can almost hear his voice crack with that simple question, "Is this your younger brother?"
Seeing Benjamin just shatters his composure. This powerful, intimidating ruler is so overwhelmed with emotion that he has to make a quick exit. He rushes into a private room just so he can break down and weep without anyone seeing him. He has to keep up the disguise, but that family connection, that love for his brother, it's just too much to hold back.
Okay, so after Joseph pulls himself together, he comes back out and tells them to serve the food. And this is where things get even weirder. They don't all eat together. Joseph eats at his own table, the Egyptians at theirs, and the brothers are given a separate table. The text explains that it was considered an abomination for Egyptians to eat with Hebrews. This just would have made the brothers feel even more like outsiders, completely at this man's whim.
And then comes the detail that must have absolutely blown their minds. When they're told where to sit, it's not random. They are seated in perfect birth order, from Reuben the oldest all the way down to Benjamin the youngest. The text says they just stared at each other in amazement. How in the world could this Egyptian governor possibly know their exact birth order? It's impossible. This guy knows way, way too much about them.
But wait, it gets even stranger. When the food is served from Joseph's personal table, everyone gets a portion. But Benjamin gets a serving that is 5 times bigger than anyone else's. 5 times! This wasn't just a big lunch. In that culture, it was a massive sign of honor and royal favor. But why? To the brothers, this is just one more baffling mystery. You know, despite all the weirdness, the strange seating, the giant portion of food, the immediate danger seems to have passed. Simeon is free, Benjamin is being treated like a king, and the drinks are flowing. So for the first time, they actually start to relax. They drink, they celebrate, and they probably start to think, okay, maybe we're finally out of the woods.
So they passed the first test. They brought Benjamin back. And they've been rewarded with this bizarre feast and a moment of relief. But when you look at all the clues, the secret weeping, the impossible seating arrangement, the over-the-top favoritism for Benjamin, you've got to ask yourself, was this feast really about forgiveness? Or was it just the setup for an even bigger, more personal test that's about to begin?